Thank you for that music, Sandra. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
It's nice to see everyone today. I know a lot of us are at the church retreat at Rock Island State Park. So is Reverend Carol. So you all are stuck with me today, and Chris. Chris is pretty cool. We have a few announcements before we get into anything today. For people who would be going to Earth Church, that is not today. Normally it would be every fourth Sunday. Instead, it will be this coming Saturday on November 1st. After there's going to be a festival for Sowen here, and then Earth Church will follow that at 7 p.m.-ish on Saturday. For those of you who are part of our Building Your Own Theology course, that is meeting today, 12:30 to 2 as normal. And one final thing from me before I hand it to Chris. For those of you that do know her, one of our founding members, Lois Calhoun, we will be having her memorial service on November 22nd at 3 p.m. But for now, Chris has a couple extra announcements, and then we'll get started.
Thanks, Ryan. My name's Chris Edkins. I'll be your worship associate today. I'm a member of the worship committee. And it's one of our traditions here at the UU Church that we do have lay-led services. We do have a good settled minister, the Reverend Carol Bordeaux, but as Ryan said, she's at the All Church Retreat this weekend. So we will be having a lay-led service, and we're very pleased to have Ryan with us today to give us a talk about Diwali, the Indian Festival of Lights. So I'm really looking forward to that. And we'll say welcome to Westside Unitarian Universalist Church. We are a church where who you are and the values you express in your everyday life are more important than the specifics of what you believe. We gather together to support each other and the wider community, and to engage in a responsible search for truth and meaning in our lives. So if that sounds like a good thing, then you're in the right place. Whether or not you're with us in person today, or whether you're watching on YouTube today or later, we welcome you. You're a part of this community. There'll be announcements in your order of service here for those of you who are here with us in the room, and there would have been announcements up on the screen before the service for those of you on YouTube. So I don't know if there's any other announcements that I need to draw your attention to in the order of service. Does anybody have any other announcements from the floor today? Okay, then in that case, we will do our opening hymn, which is This Little Light of Mine. Because Diwali is the Festival of Lights, I thought This Little Light of Mine would be an appropriate song for us to do today. So you can remain seated, and the word should appear up here on the projector. Are we good to go? Okay, great. And Sandra's going to play an introduction for us. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, you. Yeah, round of applause for yourselves. Okay. Now if you'll settle into your seats, we're going to sound the singing bowl to let us settle into this more spiritual part of the service and get us ready to receive all that wisdom that's going to be coming at us today. Humidity must be a little lower today. It's always a little harder to get it going when the humidity's low. And Ryan's going to light our chalice for us while I read the chalice lighting words, which is from the hymnal number 611, which is called Brahman. I am the self that dwells in the heart of every mortal creature. I am the beginning, the lifespan, the end of all. I am the radiant sun amongst the light givers. I am the mind. I am the consciousness in the living. I am death that snatches all. I am also the source of all that shall be born. I am time without end. I am the sustainer. My face is everywhere. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end in creation. I am the knowledge of things spiritual. I am the glory, prosperity, beautiful speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and forgiveness. I am the divine seed of all lives. In this world, nothing animate or inanimate can exist without me. I am the strength of the strong. I am the purity of the good. I am the knowledge of the knower. There is no limit to my divine manifestations. Whatever in this world is powerful, beautiful, or glorious, that you may know to have come forth from a fraction of my power and glory. From the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Ryan. Oh yes, we also have lit our two candles. The candle for all the things that are good that's happening in the world at the moment, and for all those things that are weighing heavy on our hearts in the world, conflicts, war, and injustice wherever it is going on in the world. So, thank you, Ryan.
All right. I forgot to introduce myself. Chris did. My name is Ryan Moyers. It's my pleasure to be here as a worship associate today. All right. I'm going to need a show of hands before we really get into it. Who at least knows what Diwali is? Okay. Who knows when it happens every year? It varies, so you don't really know. All right, so Diwali is perhaps one of the most, if not the most, important celebration or holiday in Hinduism, Jainism, and even for people who are Sikhs. Even Buddhists. Each year, we're going to get right into it, each year, sometime between October or even mid-November, people in the city of Ayodhya in northern India will start making hundreds of thousands of clay lamps called diyas. They're lined up on the banks of the Surya River, preparing to fill them with oil and light them. This is part of Diwali, the Festival of Lights, and it is, like I just said, one of, if not the most important festival in India and the Indian diaspora communities across the world. The festival, again, holding significance across multiple beliefs, but mainly in Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, and with the Sikhs, holds many meanings for people, varied depending on where you're from, how you practice it, and even what you call it. The common appearance, though, is lights in some form. We've sung, this little light of mine, and part of the deity Vishnu, which is from Hinduism. However, he is shared amongst multiple cultures. Diwali's name comes from a Sanskrit word called Deepavali, which translates to row of lights. And many modern groups actually use this name instead, or they alternate between the two depending on how they feel at the time. The most ubiquitous practice being the lighting of these lamps, either like in India, a lot of lamps along the row, in rows and rows and rows, along the river, in temples, or in your homes. It is actually a common practice for people to have no electric lights in their homes, and their entire house will be lit with just candles to signify the light of human ingenuity and knowledge. We created fire, and it chases away the darkness. This has multiple meanings. It symbolizes light over dark, good over evil, ignorance, or knowledge over ignorance. It comes forth as well in the timing of the celebration, because the day of Diwali itself happens on the month of Kartika. I might have butchered that name, Kartika, and it happens on the new moon of this month. Hinduism follows a lunar calendar, which is why it changes from year to year. And there are 5 days. Most people talk about the big day, the day itself called Diwali. Does anybody know when that happened this year? Last Monday, the 20th of October. It happens, it starts 2 days beforehand, before the big day, as it were, and it goes until 2 days after that. We'll talk about what each day kind of signifies, but most importantly, the pinnacle is that day of Diwali, where lots and lots and lots of things happen. Anthropologist Dr. Indira Arumugam states that the themes of light and darkness are strongest because it's the darkest of this month, and it's lighting these lamps is a luminous refutation of winter's gathering darkness, imminent chill, and swirling inauspiciousness. And you may know, beyond Hinduism and its practices, or India and in the Indian diaspora, a lot of us have certain things that we do as winter approaches where we're like, I don't like this, it's too dark, get it away from me. We wait desperately for spring to show up. I don't. But it is a refutation of all those things that we feel when winter approaches, where we're like, get it away from me, it's too dark, I feel bad, it's dark, ugh. Now, though I did just say there are 5 days of celebration, not everybody celebrates all 5 days. In fact, you might celebrate just the day itself. Some cultures only celebrate 2 days or 3 days. Some cultures celebrate the 2 days before Diwali itself, and some cultures, without ever even touching Diwali itself, the other days hold more significance. So we're going to go into a brief description of all 5 days. So the first day, known as Dhanteras, is an auspicious shopping day. We can compare it to Christmas because it boosts the Indian economy in a similar fashion, because everybody's out there buying gifts, buying holiday decorations, things to use for their rituals or celebrations. So some people actually do take to calling it Christmas, like they mix it with Christmas and New Year's and say it's the New Year. It is kind of. It sets the tone, though, for the following days, which is to celebrate prosperity and emphasize the well-being of yourself and your community. The second day is Naraka Chaturdashi, or Choti Diwali, which translates roughly to Little Diwali. It commemorates Lord Krishna and the Satyabhama defeating an evil king, Narakasura, which, again, there's that theme of good winning over evil, light winning over dark. As build up to the main Diwali day, people will clean their houses, make them, clean them. You think you've deep cleaned and spring cleaning? It's crazy, apparently. They decorate them with rangolis as well, which I don't know a good way to really say what they are, but they are intricately woven, and it's part of the celebration because it takes a long time. People say they're meditating while they do it, and it's just to kind of, again, set the tone for the following days, the big day, really. So then, the third day, the day itself, is actually more often called Lakshmi Puja. Puja refers to the act of devotion shown to a deity, and Lakshmi is the goddess of wealth and prosperity. So, that idea of prosperity and good well-being both in yourself and beyond kind of takes a center point on this day, because even though I just mentioned Vishnu and Krishna, no, most people really, they pray to her, they say, oh, bring me good wealth, good health in the coming year. It's a way and they reflect on the past year and what happened, and it's like, oh, I'm kind of, in a way, cleansed for the coming year. This puts her firmly, though, in the center of worship, along with Ganesh, the remover of obstacles, who people also pray to be like, hey, anything that's going to happen to me in the next year, just stop that, please. It is believed, however, that Lakshmi will come to homes of devotees and bless them for the coming year. And therefore, the homes are opened and well lit, again, with lanterns, nothing artificial, to give that kind of for lack of a better word, a pure energy to welcome people in. And they welcome her and her blessings. Now, the most important thing, and you might have, if you lived near, because we have the Hindu Community Center over in Loudoun County. We have other various groups in Knoxville itself that celebrate. There's a lot more than I realized. You might have heard a ton of fireworks going off if you lived near any of these communities last week. And I mean a ton. Fireworks are set off. Again, it lights up the night. It is so bright. Again, that refutation of darkness. So there are dozens and dozens and dozens, and sometimes hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and sometimes thousands and thousands and thousands of fireworks set off at once, to the point where in about the last decade or so, climate research has been done, and it is a major contributor to pollution. They set off so many that for days, people will talk about for days, the air is filled with haze, and people are like, oh, is this a concern, or should we just keep doing it? Nobody's really come to a full conclusion there, because it is so culturally rooted in everything for them. But if you were wondering who's setting off fireworks, like if you were near any of these communities, you were wondering who's setting off fireworks so much last Monday night, that is probably why. So that day ends with a literal bang, and we move on into the fourth day. This one is the day that is the most varied in both practice and name. Depending on where you're from, who you are, it takes a lot of different meanings for different people. Some names being Govardhan Puja, Bali Pratipada, and Anakut. To give a brief description of all of those three names, Govardhan refers to a popular pilgrimage site in Hindu beliefs from the Bhagavata Purana, where Krishna picks up Govardhan Hill and shelters people from a storm sent by the storm god Indra, celebrating protection from both divine or even just nature, disasters. Krishna takes the forefront on this day, and in rural communities, they link this with cow herders because of the way that their livelihoods on their farms were protected in this story. Anakut roughly translates to a mountain of food, which refers to the way that piles and piles of food are given to Krishna in devotion. Most of this is, again, it's just ways of offering to people. It's like, hey, please, listen to me over the next year. I want to have good luck. I want to have good health. And then we have Bali Pratipada, another story from the Bhagavata Purana, where King Bali, who conquered the heavens and earth, he was, in this version of the story, a warlord, was approached by Vishnu through an avatar. And many stories you read, if you have ever read anything from Hinduism, either just as a passing interest or as a study, many times they will come to you, the gods and goddesses will come to you in the body of a mortal or avatar that is like enacting their will on earth. Common theme that you may link it to everything else. But he asks Bali to give him 3 steps worth of land, thinking, oh, well, that's not much. Bali agrees. Vishnu grows to an enormous size, and in 1 step covers the entire earth, and the 2nd step covers the entirety of the heavens, and then the final step, he steps on Bali, pushing him down into the netherworld. Much like certain other belief practices around the world where a evil person can only come back on this day, and it's like saying, refuting that evil, like how some people treat upcoming Halloween, All Hallows Eve, All Souls Day. It's like, oh, this is the one day where people the spirits, the veil is shifted in certain cultures in the world. So it's believed on this day, Bali can only return to Earth on that day and be like, just hang out. I don't know. They don't say what he does. The 5th day, though it does not have as much relation to the rest of the days, is still very important. It's called Bhai Dooj, and it mainly celebrates the bond between brothers and sisters. Brothers will buy gifts for their sisters, and sisters will say special prayers for their brothers, wishing them health. Some people expand this beyond siblings. It's, just your relatives in general. Again, it depends on where you are, your community surrounding you. Now, I've said a lot. There is a ton of diversity of practice. And a big thing is, instead of having certain deity, Lakshmi and Ganesh and Vishnu at the forefront, if you live in West Bengal, you will most likely see people celebrating what is called Kali Puja, who is a separate deity, the goddess of destruction, except it aligns with Diwali, so they kind of just have it at the same time, and that's the forefront of their practices and their beliefs. And depending on where you are as well, in northern India, not really northern India, but in a northern region of Tamil, rather than being full of brightness and cheer and saying, oh, I refute the darkness in life, I want to bring the light in, it is actually a bittersweet time of honoring ancestors. They visit graves, they visit tombs, they talk to them and say like, oh, here's how I'm doing, please watch over me, things like that. Which some people don't say that is part of Diwali because it's the exact opposite. It's not cheerful. However, it serves as a reminder that everybody has different opinions and sights on certain days, holidays, or, for a personal note, my grandfather died at 9 p.m. on Christmas. So, Christmas Day, what I do is I visit his grave. It serves as a reminder, both for me, because for a while, or the first year that I went to visit him, I was like, ugh, I can't celebrate Christmas. I'm going to bring it down for everybody. But things like this kind of serve as a reminder for me, and I hope as a reminder for other people. Everybody celebrates in their own way, and it depends on your life and what has led you to that moment. Now, beyond just different celebrations, there are even other perceptions around the various practices shown across these 5 days. So I started off by saying, it celebrates light winning over dark, good winning over evil. However, that story that I told for day 4, Bali Pratipada, India is still to this day kind of dominated by a caste system. It is not as strong as it used to be, but it used to be the way their society worked. And in lower caste systems, people view Bali as the hero of that story, or really not the hero, but as he was just a guy who was, he did what he could, he was a king, and their stories call him a good king, a good leader, and then the gods came down and said, get back in your place. To them, it was a symbol of, interpreting a story like that is a symbol of resistance and understanding that they can be great too, and they're not limited to their station in the social structure. Many caste-oppressed people see him, again, as a generous king, and then people just thought he got too good, too big for his britches. I mentioned at the beginning as well that Jains treat this holiday as very important for their beliefs as well. For them, they commemorate the liberating of Mahavira from the cycles of birth and death, which, for them, reincarnation and achieving freedom from that is a central part of their beliefs. So for them, they celebrate enlightenment specifically. They don't focus on that good and evil, light and dark. It is hoping to attain enlightenment. And for Sikhs, they have Bandi Chhod Divas, which is the release of the Guru Hargobind from his imprisonment from the Mughal emperor. And because they tie this to Diwali, because when he escaped, or was freed, he freed many other Hindu leaders, which kind of created some good friendships between them for at least a time. So it's a reminder there that they're calling it the same thing. They're doing it at the same time, but it's different, just as diverse as the culture it comes from. Internationally, because I've been talking mostly in the South Asian region, internationally we have growing communities in America, in Canada, in the UK. Recently, we have seen an uptick in government support and funding for showcases of Indian culture, having them be recognized as holidays for their communities, for areas that have a high Hindu population. There is even some areas, I believe New York does this because of how high their Hindu population of people who ascribe to Hinduism are, where it is it's a day off work, it's a day off school. And national acknowledgments. When I was looking up things about this, I saw Times Square actually on one of their big old billboards had a countdown to it because of the growing population up there. In Canada, I don't remember which province is it? One of the provinces in Canada, my apologies, has a largely growing population to the point where it is that province's major holiday. In some portions of the province, it overtakes Christmas in terms of how many people are celebrating it and the cultural significance it has. So, as people spread across the world, it has shown that it can grow beyond its origins, and there are a multitude of origins for this. I could go for way longer about where we think it came from, who we think started it, because there is no exact point that we can find, although there are harvest festivals. There are just in general days similar to that celebration of All Souls Day, that we're celebrating the dead. It kind of all came together to become what we know it today, with so many origins that you have to respect and acknowledge where they came from and how it got to where it is, and just the diversity of it. The biggest thing I would like anybody to take from just thinking about this, and if you have questions, I would be happy to answer them, but they are so long, there are so many answers. The biggest thing I would want people to take away from this is, I guess the biggest theme of it is being, remember light, victory of light over darkness. Do not succumb to it. Do not, let yourself become absorbed in it. There will come again, light will come again. However, it serves as a reminder, as I've been saying, when you think of Hinduism and India as a country, you think of a group of people, but it is different even in that group. The country, the beliefs are so diverse. There are so many ways you could celebrate, so many ways you could call it. The biggest thing I would want anybody to think of when they're thinking about this is that even in groups where you think, oh, we're all the same, or oh, we're all of the same, this little box, we're not. Because even in a group as big and as expansive as this, or even in a group as small, even as our church, our congregation, everybody has different ways they view things. Everybody has different ways they celebrate. And I feel like it's an important thing to acknowledge that even with such a day of great celebration like this, it will mean something different to you, to me, to you. And keeping that in mind as we think about not just celebrations and holidays, but everything that we acknowledge that even if we think this group is, oh, we're all here, we're all this, we all have a diverse group of understanding and ideas. That's really, that is the most basic rundown I could give, because I could go on and on and on. But for now, that is Diwali, and yeah. Chris has a few more things, but thank you for letting me ramble about it for a while.
Thank you, Ryan, and I'm sure that Ryan will be willing to take questions after the service for anybody who has any further questions for him. We come to the time in our service where we talk about our justice and generosity opportunities. We don't pass the plate anymore, but we do have 2 boxes at the back of the room with QR codes on them. For those of you who still carry cash, you can put money or checks into those boxes. One is for the sustenance of this institution, the church itself, to help pay our staff and our minister and to keep the lights on. And the other one is for our Justice and Generosity partner, who this month is Mobile Meals. So if you don't have cash or paper checks, you can use your phone to scan those QR codes, and that will take you to somewhere where you can contribute online. And there's also an opportunity for those of you out in YouTube land. You have a QR code out there, and you can use that to donate to the church or to our Justice and Generosity partner. So thank you for all that you do to sustain this institution and make what we do possible. So we're coming to a close, and here at Westside, it is usually our tradition that we stand and we join hands, if you wish, for the closing benediction. So if you don't want to hold hands with somebody, you can always hold your own hand to make it clear that you do not wish to hold hands. But for those who do wish to hold hands, if you would stand and gather in a shape of some kind to... No, thank you. Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityoma Amratam Gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti Om. O Lord, lead us from ignorance into truth, from darkness into light, from impermanence to eternal life. Om, peace, peace, peace. Go in peace.